Hey guys, and welcome back to another podcast. Sorry it's been a long time since I've filmed one, but life has just been getting in the way for me. And so, yeah, this is like one of the free days I have at the moment. So, glad I can get a podcast in. Hope you are all doing well. So, last night I went to see Spider-Man Far From Home. And I've been thinking of doing this for a while now, but I was waiting to see Spider-Man, and it is ranking every single film in the MCU thus far. So that's all 23 of them. And I've just spent, no word of a lie, about 40 minutes trying to put them in an order which I think is correct for me. You know, from the 23rd worst, from the 23rd best film to the first best film. So this has been an arduous task because some of them are like really equal, and I've been trying to figure out which one is slightly better than the other. But I don't want this podcast to take too long because there are 23 films to get through, and I'm only going to speak around. Well, the first few, I'm definitely not going to talk much about them. So, alright, strap in. If you disagree with anything, any of the rankings that I've put them in, any placings, then feel free to leave a comment down below and leave your own. I won't say put all 23. Put in your top 3 or your top 5 favourite MCU films. Okay, starting off at the bottom of the list, Thor: The Dark World. I barely remember this film. All I remember is that there's that magical dark elf who's played by Christopher Eccleston, and Thor has slightly longer hair than normal, and that's about it. And Loki fakes his own death again, which is standard. Oh, by the way, probably some slight spoilers ahead. I won't spoil Far From Home. That's what I won't do. I will not spoil Far From Home, but everything else I will probably talk about. So. With no risk of not spoiling it for you, because you should have seen them by now. So Far From Home is the only one I'll leave off the list from spoiling. So yeah, Thor: The Dark World at number 23. It was rubbish. I don't really remember it. Okay, 22, Iron Man 2. Again, another film I barely remember other than Rhodey suiting up for the first time as well, and there was this Russian guy who really wanted his bird. It's just, I barely remember this film at all. I think when I came out of the cinema, I looked at my dad and I was like, what was that? It was rubbish. And yeah, I didn't enjoy it at all. In at 21, The Incredible Hulk. Now, I don't think this is necessarily a bad film. It's just not necessarily a good one either. Ed Norton, who was such a strange pick to be Hulk in the first place, or to be Bruce Banner in the first place. I mean, he's a fantastic actor. He is one of the best working actors right now, but he's not really fit for that superhero model, really. So I'm kind of glad they recast him. But I mean, I think he wanted out anyway. So yeah, in at 21, The Incredible Hulk. In at 20 is Iron Man 3. Again, I think I've only seen this one time actually, so I might be doing a bit of unfairness on it. But again, it's a film I don't really remember the plot to that much, apart from like the mega twist with the Mandarin not really being the Mandarin, and it was someone else that was the Mandarin, and these weird powers that these Chinese powers or whatever they had. It was very, very strange. Yeah, not the best film. In at 19, Avengers: Age of Ultron. Now, I did watch this like not too long ago, and I was like, it's an okay film. Like, people do really give it a bad rap, and it went through production. It had a lot of problems. Joss Whedon had to do a lot of reshoots, but to be honest, like, some of the CGI, I mean, this film clearly was not finished to the highest standard, because some of the CGI looked worse than some of the previous films that had come before it. So it just, and the plot just wasn't fantastic. You know, I mean, it had to be done because that's, you know, how some of the comic books go. But yeah, the execution of it was not great. So 18 and onwards, this is when the films start, for me, films start to get, you know, they get to get good. So about, I'd say, a 6 out of 10 and upwards from here on in. So in at 18 is Thor #1. I think I've only seen it once or twice. I think I might watch it again. From what I remember, it's a decent film. Obviously it goes off-world for the first time in the MCU, and really good direction by Kenneth Branagh, and you know, Chris Hemsworth is the perfect Thor, really. I remember it being quite decent. So yeah, in at 18 is Thor. In at 17 is Ant-Man. Again, Ant-Man is pretty good, pretty funny. More of a comedy than a superhero film, first and foremost, for sure. But it had some really light-hearted moments. The dynamic between Scott and his daughter Cassie was really cute. I mean, Cassie's adorable, and what's his face? Bloody Paul Rudd. Yeah, Paul Rudd is the perfect pick for Scott Lang. Honestly, he's great. In at 16 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. So both Ant-Man films back to back. I'd say they're on an equal playing field. I'd say I prefer Ant-Man and the Wasp more, just because it's, you know, it's more superhero-y. There's more stuff to it, like with Lawrence Fishburne's character and the girl he adopted, and going into the, you know, the micro world of, forgotten what it's called, the quantum realm. That's it, the quantum realm. And you know, I really liked that thing of it, and there was just more fun with Ant-Man's suit, like with him going giant at the end and stuff like that. It was good fun. In at 15 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. When I first saw this film, I was very underwhelmed by it, and I didn't really come out of it with a huge sense of enjoyment, and you know, I wasn't that was a fun, entertaining film. But after watching it the second time, I enjoyed it a lot more, and the way it ties into the rest of the cinematic universe is good. I really like how they expand on Nebula's character as well, because Nebula is one of the unsung heroes of the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far. She's great, and we'll hear from more of her later, I'm sure. But yeah, in at 15, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. In at 14 is Captain America: The First Avenger. Now, this film is good. I mean, most of these films are good. In at 14, yeah, good film. I remember seeing it at the cinema for the first time. It was very montagey, the way it goes through the action scenes a lot of the time. The flow of the film isn't fantastic all the time, but it has some really good characters, like Hayley Atwell as Peggy Carter was great. Tommy Lee Jones is in it, which I'm sure we've all forgotten. Even, what's his face, Stanley Tucci's in it. He plays a German scientist. He's cool. And Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull, that was a really good choice of villain. And yeah, it was actually it's a good film. In at 13 is Captain Marvel, the film that preceded the most recent Avengers film. And it was decent. It was a nice jump back in time to the 90s, and it was really well directed. Good casting choice for Brie Larson to be Captain Marvel. It was just a fun film, nice little introduction to what else is out there in the MCU with the Skrulls, and how Nick Fury lost his eye was very funny, and we all thought it was, you know, he's been saying that he lost it to a laser shot or something like that, but it was just a cat, which is quite funny. In at 12 is Doctor Strange. This film, I thought Benedict Cumberbatch was probably the correct choice for Stephen Strange. It's just a shame that his accent is kind of cringeworthy at times. But still a really fun and enjoyable film. Great look into the mystical world of the MCU and how magic is used by all the wizards. I'll call them wizards because I've forgotten their names. Oh, the sorcerers, yeah. So Stephen Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, all the S's there. Yes, Doctor Strange was a good film. Good cast as well. Chiwetel Ejiofor and Tilda Swinton. And who is it? Amy McAdams, I think, as well, plays the love interest. Yeah, it's a decent film. I actually really enjoyed that. In at 11 is Spider-Man Far From Home. So that was last night's film that I saw. So without saying too much, I thought the first half of the film was okay. Didn't really feel too much like a Spider-Man film. But the second half was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It took it from like a 5 out of 10 film to a 7 out of 10 film. It was really good. And the guy Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio, Quentin Beck, is superb. Great casting choice with him. Alright, into the top 10 now. Kicking off the top 10 is Black Panther. Now, I know this film got nominated for Best Oscar, and I don't know how, considering the other MCU film that came out in the same year, which we'll get onto later, how Black Panther was nominated and the other one wasn't. I don't know how. I guess, I mean, I don't want to get into deep water or a sticky situation here, but you know, my thoughts on it are the way it was nominated, or for the reasons why I think it was nominated, wasn't correct. But Black Panther is still a good, enjoyable film. Great cast again. I mean, pretty much every single film has a really good cast in the MCU. So yeah, Black Panther, fun, enjoyable, good action as well. Really good villain too, which is hard to say for to be fair, a lot of the MCU films. Not many fantastic villains, but Black Panther's villain stood out. Okay, in at number 9 is Thor Ragnarok. Now, with the previous 2 Thor films, obviously they weren't the best, especially The Dark World, but Taika Waititi took over and he gave us something completely different, a breath of fresh air with the character Thor and the world that he's in, and it was just so fun and enjoyable to watch. I was laughing throughout the whole film, and there was decent action. I'm not going to say the action was fantastic because obviously that's not Taika's strong suit. It's the writing and the comedy, but it was just a really, really good, fun film. Even the pit fight between Thor and Hulk when he first meets Hulk in the Grandmaster's Kingdom was really fun. That was a really good sequence actually, but just a really good film, fun and enjoyable, laugh pretty much every minute, and yeah, very, very good film. So in at number 8 is The Avengers, number 1. This film, you know, this was the first culmination of the characters that we had been introduced to. You know, Thor, Iron Man, Black, you know the list. I don't need to explain who they are. And it was just a fantastic coming together of these characters. And you could even start seeing the seeds for, you know, future films that were coming that weren't even announced yet. Like the problems that Tony Stark and Captain America have from the get-go. You know, they tie in to 3, 4, 10 films down the line. And The Avengers is just a really good cast. Obviously, Mark Ruffalo stepped in to play the Hulk. I think he's a really, really good Bruce Banner as well. And it was a good, steady villain to have, Loki. Probably Loki is one of the best villains out of the MCU. Good choice to have Loki because obviously he posed a threat in Thor, and he lived, and yeah, probably the correct choice to have Loki as the villain. And it was really good fun. The whole fight, the whole sequence fighting off the Jatari in New York was just unbelievable. Like, we, at this point, in terms of superhero films, we'd never seen anything like this on this scale yet. So it was just a groundbreaking film and one of the best in the MCU. And thoroughly enjoyed that. Haven't seen it in a long time, so I think I might give that a watch again soon. And yeah, it's just a really, really fun film. Great stuff. Yeah, alright, on to number 7. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Now this film was, I think it's fair to say 99% of people had no idea what the Guardians of the Galaxy were. But they soon became pretty much everyone's favourite band of heroes almost instantaneously. And it's just such a fun film. It really is. Like, it's great writing from James Gunn. I'm so, by the way, just so happy they've rehired him for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because they fired him for something that was said several years ago, which is inconsequential now. And of course he doesn't mean those things. Everyone changes over 7 years. If you're the same person after 7 years, I think that's a bit dumb. There's something wrong with you. But yeah, I'm glad they've rehired him. I just thought I'd say that. And the first Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, is just quite a lot better than the second one. It's just, really, really good action. Great characters, perfectly cast as well. Chris Pratt as Peter Quill, superb. And Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, and then the voices of Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel were just perfect. It's just such a good, fun film. Really funny, great writing. I think I've said all these things. I'm just repeating myself now. So yeah, in at 7, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 6, Spider-Man Homecoming. Now this film was just so good. All these ones are so good. Anyway, really fun film. Great casting choice to finally pick a comic book accurate Spider-Man. I'm not going to say he's the best Spider-Man. That will always go to Tobey Maguire. But yeah, Tom Holland is like the perfect comic book accurate Spider-Man, because he's still like, I think Tom Holland is only 21, 22, and he looks about, he can play a 16-year-old with ease. But yeah, great cast as well, and great villain, Vulture, really, really, really good. And what a character to pick, actor to pick. What's his bloody name? Who played the Vulture? Oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue. I've forgotten. I want to say it's not Kevin Costner. Definitely not Kevin Costner. Oh my word. Oh, he's in Birdman. What's his name? Oh, never mind. Right, so yeah, Vulture was really good. I'm going to remember it when I'm reading off number 1. Yeah, so in at number 6, Spider-Man Homecoming. In at 5, now from numbers 5 to 1, I believe that these films are like 9, if not, like, they're perfect for a superhero film. Like, these, for superhero films, these are perfect films, in my opinion. So here we go. In at number 5, the film that started it all, Iron Man. When this film came out, I don't know what we were expecting. I mean, for the older generation who knew who Robert Downey Jr. was, he was pretty much a washed-up actor. And, there was no way back for him, really, because of all of his drink and drug problems. But this film gave him a new lease of life, and this film gave a new lease of life into the comic book franchise. And what a film it is. Iron Man is just an unbelievably fantastic film. Oh, it's just, I need to watch it again, man. It's been so long. I've only seen it like 3 or 4 times, but it is fantastic. Jeff Bridges is in it, and it's just a brilliant introduction to what we probably didn't realise was going to be the most successful franchise or film franchise of all time. And it's just a fantastic beginning and a fantastic film as well. And yeah, I love that film. I remember coming out of that film and thinking, wow, what have I just watched? Because that was just unbelievably good. And the soundtrack as well, the AC/DC soundtrack is sick. But yeah. Okay, number 4. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This film was probably the first film since... Or was this the first film after the Avengers? The first Avengers? I can't remember. No, it was Iron Man 3, wasn't it? Okay. When this film came out, this took the MCU to a whole new level in terms of direction, action, storytelling, and what a superhero film can do with what it's given. And just the story alone was superbly done. And I'm so happy they brought in the Russo brothers, because they've gone from directing comedies like that show on Netflix, what's it, Arrested Development, to directing four of the biggest films of all time, 4 of the biggest superhero films of all time. And yeah, Winter Soldier was so good. I always like it as well for some reason. It's always nice when there's like another superhero on the side. So with Captain America, we had obviously the introduction of Falcon, and there was Black Widow as well. And it was just a really fun espionage film. Yeah, it's superb film. In at 3 is Avengers: Infinity War. This film was really Thanos' film, wasn't it? Obviously, before the events of Infinity War, the Avengers were no more. Thor and Bruce were off-world. Obviously, Bruce comes back. But the way this film just brings together so many characters at once, in different regions as well, not just on Earth, but in outer space. It's just so well handled and well done, because that must have been so difficult to separate who goes with who and what happens to each person. But obviously Thanos is one of the best villains ever put to screen. I'd argue Thanos is up there with the Joker, in my opinion. I'd say he's probably better than Bane, better than Ra's al Ghul in the Batman films, better than... definitely the best MCU film. Best MCU villain, sorry. But Avengers: Infinity War is just so good. Obviously, we get the reintroduction of Cap after another film, which I'll mention shortly. And it's just so well blended together. And obviously the setup for the future film was just so good. You know, when we heard that Infinity War was going to be a film of its own, that it can be seen as a standalone film, I thought that meant that the Avengers were going to win. And when Thanos snapped his fingers at the end, I was just left in shock. And I just couldn't believe what was happening in front of my eyes, watching them all pretty much disappear. It was just such a brave decision for that to happen, because, you know, not many times does the villain win, obviously, because most of the time the superheroes have to win, or else what's the point? But yeah, just a fantastic film. Okay, in at number 2 is Captain America: Civil War. This film, probably in terms of action, my favourite. The airport fight is just unbelievable. The fight in Lagos at the beginning, the fight when the Winter Soldier breaks out. Is it? Oh wait, I'm getting confused now. Oh no, the fight between, yes, when Bucky's escaping the building, and then Black Panther shows up and is chasing down Bucky on the motorcycle. So good, unbelievably good that. And then of course the fight at the end in the Russian chamber. Just fantastic. And you know what, I really like that villain Zemo. He's just a regular guy who hates the Avengers because they killed his family in Sokovia during the events of Age of Ultron. So again, that's a great tie-in. You know, continuity is always good. But yeah, just a fantastic film. Great introduction to Black Panther and Spider-Man. And yeah, just an unbelievably good film. So yeah, okay, let's get on to number one. As you've probably figured it out already, my favourite MCU film is Avengers Endgame. Just the perfect cherry for the perfect cake. Just an unbelievably perfect film. That's the word I'd describe this film as, just perfect. Obviously, actually, I'm not even going to say that there's flaws in this film. Every single film has flaws in it. There's no getting around that. This film is perfect for everything that had come before it. The people who died, so Tony and obviously Iron Man died, and obviously Black Widow died. Really, really well handled deaths. Obviously, Iron Man, he started it all and then he ended it all with the snap of his fingers. It was just an unbelievable moment. Yeah, it was. I can't put into words how I felt about this film. Just perfect, because I was so nervous going into this film. Me and my friend Jake, we were going to watch it, and we were just so nervous. Like, my stomach was churning because I had no idea what this film was going to do, because the marketing was fantastic. We saw nothing. We saw pretty much nothing about this film, which is how all trailers should be. Show very little. Don't even show the first 5 minutes. Talk about the first 5 minutes, and that's it. But this film was just so well handled, so well done. And we've said goodbye to probably, I think, 4 Avengers. We've said goodbye to Iron Man, obviously, Black Widow, Captain America, as you know, Steve Rogers. We're saying goodbye to Steve Rogers. We're obviously not going to say goodbye to Captain America, because that mantle will be taken up by Falcon. And I don't think Hawkeye will return. I'd be very, very surprised if they bring back Hawkeye. Obviously, that leaves Professor Hulk and Thor. From the original Avengers, at least. So obviously Professor Hulk, I think he'll be around. He'll probably show up in the next Avengers film. And Thor obviously goes off with the Guardians of the Galaxy at the end, which is great. I cannot wait to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3, just because Fat Thor is a fun Thor. He was fantastic. I loved him. Just this whole film was perfect. Perfect. I cannot fault how unbelievably perfect this film was, and I'm going to stop saying that word now, because that is the end of the list. So, did you agree with any of what I said? Did you disagree with everything that I just said? So I'm going to leave it there. Avengers Endgame is my favourite MCU film, and nothing is going to change my mind until probably the next Avengers film comes along. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. If you enjoyed this video or enjoyed this podcast, please drop it a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and leave a comment down below what your favorite Avengers, your favorite MCU film is, or your top 5, whatever you want. Leave a comment down below. All right, I will try and do another podcast in the near future. I was going to do one on the heavyweight boxing division, or basically just talking about Wilder, Fury and Joshua, but that time has kind of elapsed now, really, to talk about it, because the 4 fights were in, or the 3 main fights were in the space of a month, and yeah, I missed my window of opportunity, basically. But yeah, anyways, I will do another podcast in the near future, cannot say when. But yeah, anyway, thanks for listening, and I will see you guys later.